Our Eating San Francisco class ventured to San Francisco's famous Chinatown, just west of the financial district, for a taste of what we saw as China's Saturday morning tradition.
We met at the main, dragon-adorned gate at Grant Street, received our itineraries, and headed on our dim sum journey.
As we walked the streets of Chinatown, we were surrounded by brightly colored buildings that embodied the traditional, ornate Chinese architecture Americans are used to. The stores around us were filled with the cheap trinkets and knockoff purses that drag tourists further and further down Grant Street.
This got us thinking about this tiny microcosm that is supposed to represent the Chinese culture in all of China's 9.6 million square kilometers. San Francisco tells us that all of China looks like this, when in reality, the city streets look more like this, the wealthy suburbs like this, and the majority of the country like this. Shanghai actually calls this area, where the old streets are preserved, their own Chinatown.
A Chinese proverb says that Chinese people consider food to be the most important thing in life. Like Chinatown has oversimplified and Americanized Chinese aesthetics for our eyes, Chinese food in America has also been changed and even invented for our tastes. A traditional Chinese meal may look like this, where fresh cooked vegetables are the main feature, as well as some fresh seafood and maybe a pork or poultry dish. This, a Chinese buffet in the US, exemplifies the deep-fried, breaded, meat-based efficiency Chinese American food has adopted.
Fortune cookies are one of the most popular associations Americans make with Chinese food culture. But the fortune cookie was actually invented in San Francisco's Japanese tea garden. They have become a staple in Chinese restaurants all over the world. The Japanese claim that the fortune cookie is a derivative of their senbei rice cookie, while the Chinese argue it was inspired by their traditional mooncakes, which were used by Chinese soldiers to transmit secret messages while fighting the Mongolians in the 14th century.
When we arrived at our dim sum destination, New Asia, and enjoyed our fast-paced, noisy meal, it became apparent that dim sum may be the exception to this rule of the alteration and simplification of Chinese culture. Dim sum, which means heart's delight in Cantonese Chinese, originated in China in the form of roadside tea houses before 1000 AD. When food came into the dim sum picture, the quiet tea houses began their transition into the large, noisy dim sum restaurants of today. Now mostly in southern China, it is the Chinese version of a coffee break, and some families practice the weekend dim sum tradition like ESF took part in. Like in China, the dishes were picked off or of push carts where you could choose steamed dumplings, chicken feet, noodle soups, and strange pasty desserts. The kinds of dishes served at our Chinatown dim sum house are the same as the dishes served in the dim sum houses in southern China today. Also in line with the traditional restaurants, there were no menus, tea was served with the meal, and the only utensils available were chopsticks. The Chinese culture ingrained in the dim sum houses seems to be maintained in these not-so-hidden gems of authenticity in San Francisco's Chinatown.